Billionaire discovers heartbreaking secret behind Black Maid and his disabled daughter's bond. In the heart of Beverly Hills, where the lawns are manicured to perfection and the air hums with latent anxiety, a secret lurked just beneath the surface, poised to rip apart the very foundations of privilege. David Kensington, known as a titan of industry, lived in a sprawling mansion that towered over the rest. Each day, he reveled in his empire of wealth, blissfully ignorant of the whispers of the unseen. But little did he know, a heartfelt connection was growing between his daughter, Emma, and the woman who cleaned their grand home, Claire, a black maid with her own complex past. Emma's laughter echoed through the opulent hallways, a beautiful sound that contrasted sharply with Claire's cautious footsteps. Strange, forgotten artifacts from the mansion's history unveiled themselves under Claire's meticulous care. Heart-shaped pendants hanging in a hidden drawer, old photographs revealing a connection between families long buried. Even the air felt charged heavy with secrets and unspoken words. The question lingered, what drew the women together? From the shadows of their daily encounters, those shared moments began to sting with significance. Emma, confined to a wheelchair since birth, felt an unexplainable kinship with Claire that transcended their barriers. It was like a magnetic pull, drawing them closer. Their eyes would lock, time freezing just for that heartbeat. A flicker of understanding passed between them, igniting an empathic bond that was almost tangible, leaving David bewildered as he watched his daughter find solace in Claire's presence. Yet, as that bond grew stronger, ominous clouds gathered. One day, while David flipped through old family records, he stumbled upon a name that made his blood run cold, a name that connected Claire to a family tragedy buried deep in his own past. Confusion clouded his mind. Was it pure coincidence or something far more sinister? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the sun set that evening, casting eerie shadows across the spacious villa, Claire unwittingly carried the heavy knowledge of her past. How would it alter the lives that had intertwined so unexpectedly? What would David do when he discovered the truth hidden behind the faint echoes of laughter and shared glances? Would fear overshadow the budding friendship shared between mother and daughter? All these questions spiraled like a storm, urging the reader to turn the page. What secrets lay twisted in the dark, waiting to crash down and unleash chaos? Who was really connected to whom in this web of fate? The house felt different the next day, electric, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Claire was busy dusting the ornate frames on the walls when she caught a glimpse of Emma in the corner of her eye. The girl was staring out the window, her face reflecting the fading light, but there was something else, an intensity that tugged at Claire's heart. "Are you okay, Emma?" Claire asked, her voice soft but steady. Emma turned, a mix of innocence and deep-seated wisdom lighting her features. "I don't know, Claire." Her brow furrowed, revealing thoughts far older than her age. "I feel like there's something we should know. About us." Claire's hands trembled slightly as she put down the duster. The question hung between them like a thick fog, heavy and suffocating. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Before Emma could answer, the front door swung open. David stepped in, briefcase in one hand, the other buried in his coat pocket. He didn't notice the two women in the room, as absorbed in his own thoughts as always, but Claire's heart raced. Would he finally connect the dots? Could he decipher the tremors of fate entering into all their lives? Sensing David's presence change the air, Emma's expression transformed from contemplative to hesitant. She loved her father, but any warmth was overshadowed by imminent tension. Claire glanced back at Emma, worry dancing across her features. The cheerful laughter from yesterday felt non-existent, replaced by an uneasy silence. "Hey, Dad." Emma called out, her voice firm. Can you come here for a second? David halted, seemingly surprised that his daughter wanted his attention. He turned back, a look of curiosity etched across his features. What is it, Emma? Claire and we were just talking about how we feel connected, she said, her vulnerability both frightening and refreshing. David's brow furrowed as he stepped closer. Connected? How? Claire felt her pulse quicken. This was the moment. Would Emma's innocent insight break the chains of their tightly wound lives? There was fear in his eyes, a flicker of something darker, deeper. I don't know how to explain, Emma continued, glancing at Claire. But it feels like there's something I should remember. Something that connects us. For a heartbeat, silence stretched, heavy with the weight of the unspoken. David shifted uncomfortably, tracing the contours of confusion. What are you talking about, Emma? His voice took on an edge. Just then, Claire felt a chill creep into the room. She could no longer ignore the secrets buried in her heart, remnants of a past she thought had been laid to rest. Hot flashes of memories flickered before her eyes, whispers of grief, passionate arguments, a love that trembled on the brink of falling apart. Was it time to reveal everything? Mr. Kensington, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I think there's something we all need to discuss, but before she could dive into the storm, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. Emma gasped, then called out desperately, Dad, what's happening? Claire's heart raced as she felt the weight of impending truth crashing down, the room thick with uncertainty. What awaited them in the shadows? As David scrambled for his phone, the glow of the screen briefly illuminated their faces. In that flicker, Claire saw the frightened girl inside Emma, and the resolve in David's eyes dissolve into disbelief. What truths lay cloaked in the dark? Would they finally confront their intertwined destinies, or would they remain prisoners of the shadows? A sudden voice, a figure blurred by the darkness, echoed from the doorway, sending shivers down Claire's spine. You don't know the whole story, do you? Fear clenched in her chest. Who was that? What had they uncovered? The night was only just beginning. The darkness swallowed them whole, and Claire felt the chill seep deeper, wrapping around her like a sinister cloak. The voice, enigmatic and haunting, echoed again. You don't know the whole story, do you? David's hand trembled as he tried to steady the light from his phone, searching the space as if it were a labyrinth filled with unsolved mysteries. The beam flicked across the room, finally landing on the doorway, revealing only shadows that danced cruelly on the walls. Who's there? David called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. But there was no answer, only the haunting tick of the wall clock, drawing time into deeper suspense. Claire felt her throat tighten. She wanted to reach out and grab Emma, to shield her from whatever lay in the darkness. But the girl stood rooted to the spot, eyes wide and locked onto the void, waiting for something to emerge. A soft rustle echoed from the doorway, and Claire saw a figure step into the sliver of light, a woman silhouetted against the backdrop. Claire's heart dropped. It was Alice, the housekeeper, though this looked like a ghost of the woman she once knew. Shadows carved deep lines into her face, making her look older, more burdened than Claire remembered. David lowered the phone, skepticism blending with shock. Alice? What are you doing here? Alice's voice was steady but worn, carrying a weight that pressed heavily against the trio. I had to come. It's about Emma, and you too, David. You don't understand what's happening. Emma looked up at David, confusion blooming on her innocent face. About me? What do you mean? What is going on? Alice, please. You're scaring her, Claire said, stepping closer, protective instincts kicking in, but Alice shook her head, her gaze piercing. There are things buried here, secrets you've all masked with a facade. Things I should have told you long ago. Tension crackled, filling the air. David's expression darkened, disbelief wrapping around him like chains. Secrets? What kind of secrets? The kind that tie families together and tear them apart, Alice whispered, a deep sorrow writing her words. Emma isn't just connected to you by blood. It's something more, something that links you all on a deeper level than you've realized. Confusion and fear danced in Emma's eyes. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Before Alice could answer, the lights flickered again, the glow illuminating the weight of Claire's dread. In that flicker, a memory surged forward, rushing through her mind like a tidal wave of emotions. She and David had talked about Emma's future, about the love for their daughter weaving through their past, their hopes, their losses. What if the ties running deeper than she thought were too painful to confront? Claire felt the sting of unshed tears. Can we not discuss this later? Not like this? Too late, Alice said firmly, her eyes narrowing. This isn't just about Emma. It's about all of us, what we've buried beneath our pride and sorrow. The air shifted again, it was electric and tense. Claire inhaled sharply, wondering if the truth was worth the pain it could unleash. What did you find out, Alice? She urged, willing the truth to free them. I found the letter, Alice said, voice quavering, but the gravity of those words pressed like a vice on Claire's chest. The letter that reveals everything you've tried to forget. Emma stepped toward Alice, instinct screaming. What letter? What have you been hiding? The silence enveloped them again. Claire noticed a flicker of fear in Emma's expression, but it wasn't just fear, it was recognition. A realization that danced at the edge of her mind, just waiting to break free. Alice took a deep breath. The past holds us captive, but it may also guide us. It's time for the truth to emerge from the shadows. Will you embrace it? Before anyone could answer, the lights flickered once more before plunging them into stifling darkness, leaving them adrift. The shadows closed in tightly, and Claire's heart raced with the pounding rhythm of fate. What lay hidden in the depths of that letter? Was the revelation one of liberation or destruction? Would they be ready to face a truth darker than the shadows surrounding them? The night was still heavy with whispers, and the air thick with unsaid words. The silence hung heavy around them, the kind that made Claire's skin crawl. She could feel her heart pounding like a drum in her chest, each beat echoing the turmoil within her. The shadows pressed closer, an oppressive blanket of despair threatening to suffocate them. David instinctively moved to Claire's side, his eyes searching the darkness, desperately seeking answers. Where's the letter, Alice? He demanded, the intensity in his voice a fragile attempt at courage. The desperation clawed at him, and Claire could see it, his need for clarity, for something to counter the growing fear. Alice shifted, her form barely distinguishable against the void. It's close by, hidden in plain sight. I feared for its safety, for the truth it holds. But it holds a power you cannot ignore. Just tell us where it is. Emma pleaded, the tremor in her voice barely masked by her youthful bravado. She needed answers, but it felt like the ground was shifting beneath her. Claire wanted to gather her close, to protect her from this fragile truth as it threatened to unravel everything they held dear. A chilling breeze swept through the room, sending a shiver down Claire's spine. She felt the darkness quaking with anticipation, each heartbeat amplifying the fear that lurked just beyond the corners of their minds. The faint light from David's phone flickered nervously, as if aware of the tension. What truth? Claire finally asked, holding her breath against the impending reveal. What could possibly be in that letter that's worse than all this? Alice hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. The truth about Emma's father and the sacrifices made for her sake, secrets tangled in a web of lies. The weight of her words crashed into Claire, an ice-cold realization wrapping around her heart. Her mind raced. What could Alice be suggesting? Confusion flooded her thoughts, crowded with images of their life, the smiles shared and the struggles endured. Emma glanced at Claire, her brows knitting into a frown. Mom, what is she talking about? Shoo. Just let her finish, Claire urged, aware that they were on the precipice of something immense. Suddenly, the lights surged back to life, illuminating the room with harsh brightness. The confusion melting into clarity, Claire's heartbeat quickened. There, nestled on the old wooden table, lay a yellowed envelope. It looked innocuous yet ominous, as its mere presence seemed to taunt them. "Retrieve it, David," Alice commanded, her voice steadying. "But you must prepare yourselves. The truth is not always kind." Claire's heart raced as David approached the letter, hesitating as if the weight of the truth would crush him. Emma clung to Claire, her grip tight, a silent plea for reassurance. As David reached for the envelope, Claire dared not breathe, caught in the pause before a storm. When his fingers brushed against it, a strange energy pulsed in the air. With a suddenness that left no room for preparation, the lights flickered wildly, plunging them into a flash of stark shadows before returning. David stood still, his expression frozen in disbelief, the envelope crumpling under the stress of his grip. "What's wrong?" Claire's voice trembled, an undercurrent of dread threading through her. But David's face had become a mask of shock, lips parted as if he had seen a ghost. I don't understand." "What? What is it?" Emma murmured, stepping closer, but Claire's instincts screamed at her to push her back. "Something is hidden inside the envelope," David groaned, his face pale. "It's not just a letter, Claire." As he tore it open, the air shifted again, wrapping them in a tense silence, thick with expectation and fear. Claire felt a chill creep up her spine as she awaited the unveiling. What was lurking inside that envelope? What had been concealed from them all these years? And as Claire wrestled with the impending revelation, she could feel the darkness taking a breath, preparing. Would this be the moment they uncovered their deepest fears, or simply the beginning of their downfall? The night loomed heavy and ominous as the truth waited, hidden. Just an unravel away. As David ripped the envelope open, the fragile paper protested against the harshness of his urgency. A thin piece of folded parchment slipped into his open palm, revealing a delicate script, each letter impeccably formed, yet it felt as if the ink held tragedy within its strokes. Claire couldn't tear her gaze away, her pulse quickened, trembling along with every breath she drew. "What does it say?" Emma whispered, her youthful curiosity suspended in fear. David's hands shook, hovering over the letter, unwilling to reveal its contents, as if exposing a wound that had never fully healed. He unfolded the parchment slowly, the crinkling sound echoing ominously in the silence. Claire's heart sank. This was no mere letter, she felt it, a dark omen whispering of deep regrets and buried truths. "Just read it," Claire urged, her voice sharper than she intended, slicing through the tension. David hesitated one last time before his eyes began to scan the writing, his lips moving silently. As he read, the room felt smaller, the walls closing in with dread, constricting around her. Claire could hardly breathe. Emma still held tightly to Claire's arm, her wide eyes fixated on David, searching for reassurance that everything would be okay. "It says," David's voice broke, thick with suppressed emotion, "that Emma's father, his name was not who we thought he was. It was never just about love." "What do you mean?" Claire felt heat rising in her chest, a mix of anger and confusion. "What are you talking about?" David's eyes met Claire's, wide and glazed over, reflecting anguish. He was involved in something dangerous. There were debts. Secrets that went beyond our understanding. Emma recoiled as her world tilted, her father turned into a shadowy figure with a life Claire had tried to shield her from. "What do you mean?" "You're scaring me." David swallowed hard. There's more. He wanted to protect her. They were trying to protect you. That's why they kept everything hidden. Claire's stomach churned, thinking of all the moments they cherished, the laughter and the bonds formed in the light of trust, now riddled with cracks, gaping and hungry. But why? What kind of protection are we talking about? I can't understand it all," David hissed, his voice strained. He crumpled the letter in his fist, feeling the weight of burdens unseen. "There's a name here, a name associated with the past, a name I recognize." "What name?" Claire demanded, breathless, each syllable pushed through a tight throat. Lucas Marciano, he murmured at the edge of disbelief. He's gone. Or at least that's what we thought. The truth struck with the force of an avalanche, an icy grip clamping down on them. Claire's mind raced. She had heard that name before. Emma's face contorted, trying to comprehend the implications. Who is he? What did he do? Where's my dad? Emma, sweetheart. Claire tried to reach for her, but Emma jerked back, fear cascading through her. The once comforting space was now alien, filled with ominous secrets and murky waters. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, interrupting the desperate exchange. They all jumped, hearts pounding. Did you hear that? Emma's voice trembled in panic, the shadows flickered with life again, and a sense of danger surged through the air. Stay here. David commanded, his instincts kicking in. He moved toward the door, but Claire felt herself rooted, a chilling realization settling deep within her. What other truths lay buried alongside the revelations they had just unearthed? Who else was tied to the dark history now unraveling in front of them? As the noise grew louder, panic swept through Claire, and she feared for Emma's safety more than ever. This night wasn't finished with them. Whatever was brewing out there, it would soon come crashing in, and they were no longer just facing the past, their present was now at risk too. With hearts pounding against their ribs, they gathered their courage, knowing they couldn't turn back. What lay beyond that door? And would they be prepared for what awaited them on the other side? David steadied himself at the door, listening intently to the sounds beyond. The crash had come from the kitchen, a cacophony that reverberated through the house like a siren's wail. He turned, casting a pleading glance at Claire and Emma, their faces a canvas of terror as they searched for answers in his own eyes. Stay close to me, he whispered fiercely, before taking a cautious step forward. Claire's heart raced, confusion mingling with fear as she clutched Emma's hand tighter, pulling her protectively against her side. The girl's small frame quivered, eyes glistening with unshed tears, visibly shaken. Don't go, David. Emma's voice was just above a whisper, barely audible, yet filled with an urgency that sliced through the tension. I need to see what's happening, David replied. I can't let anything happen to you. Just hold on tight. He pushed the door open slowly, heart pounding, as shadows loomed in the dim light of the hallway. Claire and Emma followed closely behind, Claire's hand a lifeline for both of them. Every step forward felt like entering a battleground, tension thick enough to choke. David's breath quickened as he stepped into the kitchen, ready to confront whatever threat lay lurking in the darkness. The broken glass crunched beneath his feet, scattered remnants of a fallen plate like shattered hope strewn across the floor. As David scanned the room, the flicker of light from the streetlight outside caught his attention. A figure suddenly appeared amid the shadowy chaos. Who he started, but the word died in his throat. A figure loomed in the corner, tall, silhouetted against the light, wearing what looked like a dark hooded coat. Instinct kicked in, David's heart raced like a drum, pounding in his ears. Get back! He shouted, a primal reflex surging through him, pushing the girls away from the potential danger. The figure turned, a barely perceptible movement, but it was enough. In that moment, recognition coursed through David, electrifying him. The face, though partially obscured by the hood, was unmistakable. Lucas Marciano. David, I didn't think you'd find out this way. Lucas's voice was low, almost a rasp, an unsettling calmness lacing his words. But it's too late for that now. Claire gasped, the name cutting like ice through her veins. Emma began to tremble even more, a ripple of fear cascading through her small body. Is that him, Mom? She breathed, her voice a whisper of disbelief. Why are you here? David advanced, muscles coiled like springs, ready to protect the two most important people in his life. What do you want? Lucas stepped closer, a slow grin spreading across his face, chilling and predatory. You don't know everything, do you? The debt, it goes deeper than you think, and your little gathering tonight? It's just the beginning. Fear shot through Claire and Emma. They were standing on the precipice of something dark and dangerous, and there was no turning back now. What do you mean? David demanded, his voice thick with rage and confusion, pushing bravely forward but terrified of what was unrolling. What have you done? I was trying to protect Emma's father's legacy. But you've opened Pandora's box, Lucas said, his eyes glinting with something sinister. Before David could respond, a loud bang echoed behind them. The front door of the house burst open, a rush of cold wind mixing with chaos as unfamiliar voices flooded the air. David! Claire screamed, instinctually pulling Emma closer. But fear gripped David as he confronted the reality crashing in around them. They were no longer just unraveling a mystery, they were entwined in a whirlwind of secrets that threatened to consume them whole. As shadows multiplied in the doorway, David clenched his fists, standing between his family and the impending storm. How much more was he willing to fight? In the face of danger, he refused to falter. The night felt alive with uncertainty and dread, yet they had come too far to retreat. What dark revelations would next tumble into the open? What creation of the past was coming back to claim its due? David's heart raced as he turned his gaze back toward the open doorway. The cold wind whipped through the kitchen, carrying with it the sounds of frantic footsteps and raised voices. Get inside! A muffled voice shouted amidst the chaos. David's instincts kicked in, driving him to stand protectively before Claire and Emma, whose eyes widened in terror. Lucas laughed, a low, mocking sound that sent a chill down David's spine. You think you can protect them from this? This isn't just some intruder. This is the reckoning. What reckoning? David spat. His mind raced as shadows moved just outside, figures threatening to spill into their sanctuary. With every second, the tension built like a storm poised to break. Your life is built on hidden debts, my friend, Lucas taunted, stepping back into the darkness, his form swallowed by the flickering light. And I'm just here to collect. David's fists curled tighter, but he kept his eyes on Lucas. Enough games. What do you want? There was a pause, a dangerous moment where everything slowed, the air thick with unsaid words. Lucas leaned closer, the glimmer of something metallic shining briefly from within his coat. You think you hold all the cards, but what if I told you that everything you thought you knew about your family is a lie? The revelation hit like a knife, cold and sharp. David's throat tightened. What are you talking about? But before Lucas could reply, a loud crash interrupted them. The figures outside surged forward, faces obscured by the shadows. All it took was a moment, a single instant, for David to realize they were outnumbered. Run! He yelled, urgency flooding his voice. Claire grabbed Emma tightly, pulling her away from the chaos. They pushed past David, toward the back door, but Lucas stepped between them, blocking their escape. No! You don't get to leave. Not yet. He growled, reaching out a hand as if to pull them back into the storm. David surged forward, adrenaline coursing through him. He couldn't let Lucas take his family. In one swift motion, he pushed Lucas aside and propelled Claire and Emma toward the door. Go! He shouted again, adrenaline pooling at the base of his spine as he prepared to confront whatever threat loomed outside. Claire hesitated, casting one last glance back at David. David! We can't leave you. Just go. I'll find you. He promised, forcing everything he had into the look he gave her. With a terrified nod, she squeezed Emma's hand and darted through the door, disappearing into the night. David turned back to Lucas, anger simmering just beneath the surface. What do you want with us? Lucas's expression darkened. You will soon find out. Your past is about to catch up with you. And when it does, I hope you're ready. Suddenly, the sound of thudding footsteps filled the hallway as the figures advanced. David stood firm, ready to defend his family with everything he had. The weight of the moment pressed down on him, dark and suffocating. As the shadows approached, he felt a sense of desperation clawing inside. The world was closing in, and he was standing at the brink of an abyss that promised to swallow him whole. "Don't you dare touch them!" he growled, taking a step forward, but the figures rushed in, a mass of chaos crashing around him. David steeled himself, ready to confront the encroaching darkness. Somewhere, across the threshold of panic, Claire screamed for him. David's heart shattered in that instant, but there was no ensuring safety without courage. The storm loomed large. It was no longer just about the debts of the past but about securing a future. And with that thought, he lunged into the chaos. What terrible truths awaited David as he faced the dark? Would the storm wash everything away, or would it reveal the hidden secrets buried deep in his family's past? The cacophony of shouts and chaos swallowed David whole as the figures poured through the doorway. He felt their presence wash over him, a wave of desperation and malevolence. His pulse raced, the air crackled with raw energy, desperate and urgent. David's instincts kicked in. He swung to face the first shadow that lunged at him, a hulking mass that collided with him. The wind knocked out of him as they both crashed to the ground. Pain flared in his side, but he fought through it, grappling to find the upper hand. They rolled over each other, fists flying, desperate grunts mingling with the screams that echoed from behind. "Get your hands off me!" David growled, pushing against the weight threatening to crush him. He managed to twist free and stagger to his feet, his heart pounding as he glanced around. The kitchen was now a war zone, filled with shouts and frenzied movements. He could see two more figures edging toward where Claire and Emma had escaped, panic surging inside him. "Stop them!" he yelled, his voice raw with urgency, but it was swallowed by the chaos. Lucas appeared again, just a few feet away, watching with a smirk, sharp and cruel. "You really think you can save them?" he taunted, drawing closer, the glimmer of metal still visible in his coat. "You're too late. They're already in the grip of what was meant for you." David's eyes narrowed. What did that mean? His focus shifted back to the figures. He had to act fast. They were outnumbered, but desperation ignited a fire within him. It was either fight or lose everything. A well of power surged as he rushed toward Lucas and the advancing shadows, grit and determination fueling his body. With a shout, he charged into the fray, throwing punches and fists wherever the chaos beckoned. The fight was brutal and raw, each blow ringing with the urgency of panic. Someone grabbed his shoulder, he twisted, elbowing the figure hard in the gut, the wind rushing out of them. He had no time to think, every second counted, each clash echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of everything at stake. He thought of Claire's terrified face, Emma's trusting smiles. A sharp pain blossomed in his ribs, but he pushed it aside, fighting hard to keep the connection alive between him and his family. Suddenly, a scream tore through the air again, more jagged this time. Panic clawed at David's chest. Was it Claire? Emma? He couldn't. He hesitated, felt like the very fabric of his world was unraveling. He caught a glimpse of Claire's silhouette outside, running hard, but an unseen force yanked her backward into the shadows. "No!" The cry burst from David's lips, pure and primal. It fueled him, the surge of fury and desperation, igniting a fervor he didn't know he possessed. He broke free from the grasp of another divider and barreled toward the doorway, eyes locked on the darkness beyond, providing that flicker of hope he needed. As he stepped closer to the threshold, he was met by resistance again, an armored wall of a figure intent on pushing him back. "Let me go!" David roared, pushing with every ounce of strength he had left. The darkness threatened to swallow them whole, and he wouldn't allow it. But with one final shove, the figure stumbled back, creating just enough space. David exploded into the night, and for one fleeting moment, freedom tasted sweet until he realized he was stepping into an even larger predatory dance of shadows. In the distance, a figure emerged as if conjured by the storm itself. Lucas stepped forward, hands raised, a twisted smile curling on his lips. "I hope you're ready, David," he said, voice dripping with sinister amusement. "What comes next will change everything." David's breath caught in his throat. The storm wasn't over, it was just beginning. All he could think was a desperate urge to protect Claire and Emma from whatever darkness loomed ahead. What further secrets lay beneath Lucas's laughter? Would David uncover the truth, or would the shadows claim him just as they had threatened to do? The chill of the night air cut through David as he stepped outside, his heart hammering in his chest. He could still hear the echoes of chaos behind him, but there was no time to dwell on that. He had to move, had to find Claire and Emma before the shadows could drag them into the abyss. He turned sharply, scanning the darkened street, desperately searching for any sign of them. The streetlights flickered, casting long, eerie shadows that danced on the pavement, taunting him. Each step felt heavy, his body ached, and each ragged breath seemed to remind him of the pain in his side. "Claire!" he shouted, voice trembling with urgency. The sound bounced off the brick walls as if mocking him. Silence wrapped around him like a shroud. A glimmer caught his eye, a flash of movement at the edge of the alley. Without thinking, David sprinted toward it, adrenaline pouring through his veins. His mind raced with horrifying thoughts. Was Claire safe? Had Emma gotten away unscathed? As he reached the alley, darkness swallowed him whole. He paused, letting his eyes adjust. The shadows were thick, but he could make out a figure huddled against the wall. "Who's there?" he called, voice low but firm. Stepping closer, the figure shifted, revealing a familiar face. It was Emma, tears streaking her dusty cheeks, her small frame trembling. Relief flooded over David, but it was quickly crushed by a rush of dread. "Where's Claire?" he demanded, panic knotting his stomach. Emma's face twisted in fear. "They took her." The words fell from her lips, breaking like shattered glass. "I tried to stop them, but..." Her voice faded into a sob. No. David's heart sank. The shadows were closing in, and he felt their weight pressing down, threatening to snuff out any flicker of hope. "What do you mean, they took her?" "They grabbed her when she was running. I thought she was safe, but then..." Emma's breath hitched. David knelt down to meet her gaze, forcing himself to stay calm, though the urgency clawed at him. "Where did they go?" He needed information, any scrap of hope that might lead him to her. I don't know," Emma stammered, looking around, clearly frightened. "There was this one, he was big, and he just dragged her away. I swear I didn't see where they went." David's fists clenched. Every second wasted felt like a dagger to his heart. He couldn't let fear overwhelm him, not now. He wrapped his arms around Emma, pulling her close, the warmth of her small body grounding him. "Listen to me," he said, his voice steady despite the storm in his chest. "We need to find a safe place. Can you do that for me?" "Why, yes," Emma nodded, eyes wide and glistening. As they turned to leave, a low growl resonated from the depths of the alley, freezing them in place. David's pulse quickened, instincts kicking back in. Something was lurking in the shadows, waiting. He strained to see through the darkness, but only silence replied. A thud echoed, followed by another heartbeat, louder this time, reverberating through the alley as if it were alive. David didn't move. He couldn't afford to show fear. "Stay close to me," he whispered, inching backward until he felt the cool brick against his back. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." Then, like a predator revealing itself, a figure stepped into the faint light. It wasn't Lucas this time. It had to be someone else, someone worse. The familiar smirk on the stranger's face made David's blood run cold, as recognition struck him like a lightning bolt. "Did you really think you could escape this?" The figure hissed, taking a menacing step forward, hard in his throat. David knew he had to act. But before he could think of a plan, he heard the sound of Claire screaming in the distance. The anguished sound sent chills down his spine, igniting an inferno of determination within him. "Run, Emma!" he shouted, voice raw, as he sprang into action, driven by love and despair. As Emma darted away, a piercing shriek echoed through the night, and David faced the darkness, now more than ever resolved to dive deeper into the storm. He was ready to confront whatever awaited him. He Had to. What horrifying truth awaited him in the shadows that threatened to consume Claire? Would he be able to untangle the web of darkness, or would he lose everything? David fought through the terror, heart racing as he sprinted toward the direction of Claire's scream. Each frantic step echoed the urgency pulsing through him. Emma's terrified expression flashed through his mind. He had to save her, there was no other option. Claire. He called into the night, straining to catch any reply. The echo of despair coursed through his veins, igniting every nerve in his body. He darted around the corner, determination fueling his every movement. The alley twisted like a labyrinth, shadows dancing at the edges of darkness, but there was no time for fear. He pushed himself forward. Suddenly, he stopped. A fleeting glimpse of Claire's light hair caught in the flickering lamplight. She was being held against a wall by a figure, a hulking man, muscles coiled like a predator ready to pounce. The sight twisted something deep within David, sharp as a shattered glass. Rage ignited as he remembered the stakes. Let her go. He screamed, voice laced with fury. The man's head turned, surprise flashing across his face, but it quickly morphed into arrogance. You think you can save her? He mocked. The smirk on his lips was maddening. David charged forward, fists clenched tightly. Each lunge fueled by love and fear, he had to protect everything he held dear. Get away from her. He roared, catching the man off balance. The man stumbled back just enough for Claire to slip from his grip. David reached her, feeling her warmth, her safety. Are you hurt? Panic clutched at him as he scanned her face, searching for any signs of injury. I'm okay, she whispered, but her eyes were wide, reflecting the fear that had swept through the night. Run. David urged, pushing her forward. He turned to confront the man now recovering from David's attack. I won't let you take her. Anger surged within him as he prepared to defend their truth and their life against this dark shadow, but the man wasn't alone. A group of shadows loomed behind him, advancing like a wall closing in. David's heart sank. They were outnumbered, the odds stacked heavily against him. But he wouldn't back down. You don't get to dictate our lives. He shouted defiantly. The leader identified himself, a name David recognized from whispers in the dark corners of the past. This is not just about you, Kensington. This is about the mess your family has made. You owe debts that can't be ignored. The weight of his words settled on David, coiling around him like a vice. The storm of secrets crashed against him again, but David refused to falter. I won't play this game anymore. You're not in charge here. His voice was fierce like a lioness roar. Get out of our lives. With a surge of desperate energy, David lunged forward, fists flying, feeling the adrenaline pump through his veins. He struck hard and fast, determined to create a path through the chaos, fueled by the love for Claire and Emma. The fight became a blur of pain and adrenaline, echoing through the night. Shadows blended together, grunts and shouts colliding with an otherworldly tension. David felt the grips of despair and guilt clawing at him, but he pushed through every blow, every flash of fear. Before long, he caught a glimpse of Emma standing a few feet away, wide-eyed and trembling. The sight reignited his will to protect her, to shield them both from the horrors of the past. You need to go, Emma. He shouted over the chaos, get to safety. I won't leave you. She cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. Just do it. Find help. The urgency in his voice cut through the noise. He needed her to escape this nightmare. The shouts of the other men grew louder, their darkness closing in faster. David could feel the desperation in the air, a heavy defeat looming. Go! He yelled again, breaking his focus from the fight, and the moment of hesitation opened the floodgates of rage. As Emma hesitated, fear etched into her face. Claire shouted, just trust him, Emma. We'll find each other again. With one last desperate look, Emma turned and ran toward the light, disappearing into the depths of the night. The moment brought clarity to David's world. He had to come back for them, he had to end this, whatever it took. His heart ached, but the fight had renewed fire in him. "We'll finish this," David declared, eyes narrowing as the shadows pressed in closer, the explosive anger coursing through him like a rushing river. The leader stepped forward, eyes glimmering with sick pleasure. "You think this is just about you, don't you? Letting your family suffer the consequences of your choices." David's blood boiled. "This ends tonight." With that, he surged forward into the fray, ready to confront whatever darkness remained. In a burst of chaotic energy, David lunged, fists flying, unaware of the impending storm that would shake the very foundation of their lives. Every hit reverberated with anger, hope, and the desperation to reclaim a future for his family, a future hidden beneath layers of betrayal and deceit. As he fought back against the shadows closing in on him, he knew he couldn't falter now. The destinies of Claire and Emma depended on it. The shadows spread like wildfire, but the fiery determination within him burned brighter, pushing against the darkness, clawing at his heart. He felt the connection to them, stronger than ever, guiding him as he faced the depths of darkness. And as he fought with everything left in him, a father's love unwavering against the storms of fate, he was ready to bear witness to the truth, whatever it may be. Would he uphold the bonds that tied them together against the chaos they faced? Would the light of truth pierce through the shadows? The struggle was far from over, but there was hope as long as he breathed, and in that moment, David knew he would never allow the darkness to consume them again. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that reveal even more secrets. Smash that like button now to help us spread our adventure. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this epic conclusion. Your support means everything. Don't wait even one more second.